Friends, I heard of a sad email that arrived at an office of a minister. The email just basically said, "Our teenage son has stopped wanting to spend time with us." The parents were so distraught. A child that depended on them and was needed by them suddenly hit the teenage years, and they didn't want to be with them. When they walked down the street, they walked 100 yards behind them. When they went in a shop, they went in different directions. Friends, it can be painful. It can hurt. But for many hundreds of years, this was God's painful story too. He wanted his children to spend time with him. He wanted them to speak to him. He wanted them to involve him in their lives. But by the vast majority of people, God was completely ignored. He was sat on the substitutes bench and never got to make an impact in their lives. In the freezing waters of the English Channel, a group of men, women and children are treading water and holding each other's hands to keep afloat. Some are making desperate calls to rescuers on mobile phones held above the waters. But as hypothermia sets in, their devices slip from their hands before they can send their true location. The dinghy in which they had placed all their hope of reaching British shores had a broken motor and was deflating. One member of the group manages to send a voice message home. He simply said this: "We are still in the sea between the UK and France. We're not sure who is coming to rescue us." Just hours later, all but two of a group of at least 30 migrants were dead. The worst migrant mass drowning in the Channel ever recorded. They were desperately in need of a rescuer, and our world is still in need of rescue. The promise that we could be rescued from a life of frustration, of never fitting in, of needing rescue from a life of inner doubt and painful memories, maybe feeling neglected by society, by our family, maybe even by God. The centuries-old promise that God will live among us, God will rescue us, God was promising to come for us, and that promise was fulfilled in a manger. But friends, what a way to come. I wouldn't have done it this way, would you? An unmarried mother accused of being unfaithful to her fiancé. I would have come in such a powerful way that no one could miss God's hand in this new arrival. And then Mary and Joseph had to go on a 70-mile journey along a bumpy road. Friends, if it had been down to me, I would have planned the logistics much, much better. There was no guest house available to them. I would have at least ensured that there was a room, preferably with ensuite facilities, and a little mini bar where they could get snacks and things. I would have provided that for them. And then there was the mess of the stable. If there wasn't already enough to cope with for Mary and Joseph, there was the mess in the stable. Friends, I would have provided antibacterial wipes. You know, those wipes that we're all so used to using, and those gels on our hands that kill 99.9% of all bacteria, so that there was no risk. And then there were no family visitors to be there to rejoice with Mary and with Joseph, just shepherds who came that night. Friends, I would have prepared for the King of the universe. I would have prepared a guest list of all the noble people in the world to pay honour to the birth of this new king. And then Mary and Joseph had to cope with the threats of Herod, who wanted to kill their son. Friends, I would have offered a greater protection, like a bulletproof baby grow or some armoured vehicle to get around in. But the contents of the manger contain, quite remarkably, all that is required for us to be rescued. Jesus doesn't protect against 99.9% of bacteria that might harm us, but he protects 100% of sin, 100% from the effects of guilt, 100% from shame, 100% from darkness, 100% from feeling that we don't fit in. Friends, if we don't recognise that we need rescuing by God, then we are misguided and we need to ask some serious questions. Friends, there is no doubt in historians and theologians' minds that Jesus did come into this world. We can live our lives in total ignorance of that, like the teenage son never speaking to his parents, like the stranded migrants risking everything by placing all their hope of rescue in something that was not up to the task. The fact that Jesus came into this world means that we have to make a decision about who he was. We can put off the opportunity to call out to our one hope of rescue, but without him, we too will perish. But Jesus proves that God always did have everything in hand for our rescue. That's what the manger tells us. And it tells us that he is still able to rescue us, even today. Amen.